podcast is brought to you by PodPro Australia.
Social media, Google, email marketing, systems, website traffic, and the endless content creation that comes with marketing. It's overwhelming, right? Say goodbye to endless stress and hello to clarity with the Meaningful Marketing Podcast. In this podcast, I will share with you fast and free practical methods to help you manage, monetize, and market your business, all infused with a healthy dose of motivation. Let's do this. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Meaningful Marketing Podcast. This is your host, Chantal Gerardy, and today I'm sitting with the lovely Jess Cameron. I have had the absolute pleasure of hearing Jess present on stage twice now, and every time she spoke, I was like, OMG, this is freaking brilliant. I need to share this juice with the rest of the world. So Jess, so lovely to have you here.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here with my juice.
I always say juice and glitter, shine, baby. So Jess, tell everybody a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you fell into what it is that you do now.
Well, I'm a mindset performance coach. I did that for organizations. So I have a corporate background in big sales companies. So international sales companies would essentially hire me to fix the performance issues that nobody else could fix. So I always have a laugh because they used to call me the witch doctor. They had like a sign on my door where it was if it wasn't a skill set issue, then it was a mindset issue. And so if their mentors and sales trainers couldn't help them break through, it's not just that they couldn't perform. Sometimes it's they just couldn't get to the next level. So they'd hit their ceiling. They didn't know how to get to the next level. And if that wasn't a skill set issue, that's when they'd come see me. So I did that for about 6 years. And then I thought it's time to start my own business and to have my own personal clients. And so I've done that for about 5 years now. So I'm a mindset and relationship coach. They're my areas of passion.
Awesome. Her juice and her glitter. So the thing is, right, you said skill set. If it's not a skill set issue and people are wanting to perform, then it is mindset. Now, a lot of people completely underrate the whole thing about mindset. They think it's woo-woo, or they think it's not mindset, it's got to be something else. How do you handle that crap?
Well, and it's actually quite interesting because over the last few years, you would have heard me speak about this on stage. I've realized it is mindset, but beyond that, it's also our inability to emotionally regulate and to handle uncomfortable emotions. And so there's two components to that, and this is how I'd tackle it with somebody. There's negative thoughts, but that's the thing that we all flag. We know if we're having bad self-talk, if we've got bad self-doubt, if we've got a lot of negative stories, that's kind of an immediate red flag for us. We understand that. We're like, okay, that's something that I've got to work through. But if it was just mindset, then we'd just change our thoughts. We'd just think a better thought. It's like telling somebody like, oh, you're over stressed, just calm down. When does that ever work? You know, so having like negative thoughts, it's not as simple as like just think positively. So mindset to me is so much deeper than that. It's what are your subconscious thoughts, the ones that you're actually not super aware of. And a lot of times it's seemingly good thoughts that we have that are working against us. So an example of that would be, it's just really, it's important and it's valuable to just grind and work hard. There's nothing wrong with that thought. But if that's working against you, if you're just grinding, but going in the wrong direction, then you're not actually catching that as something that's sabotaging you. You're like, okay, well, I'm working hard, so why isn't it producing the results? Well, potentially you're not aligned. And because you're thinking that you're doing a good thing, you're not actually stopping to pause and be like, I'm working here, but I'm working in the wrong direction, or I'm not doing the things that are suited to me, or I'm not doing it in the way that's suited to my essence, and there's no alignment and there's no flow. So for me, I try to look underneath the initial conscious thoughts, and when I'm in my coaching sessions, I'll just pull the thread. I'll keep pulling it until I'm like, right, that's the subconscious programming and patterning. That's the thing that's working against you. And then on the flip side, the second category of that is emotional capacity. Like how comfortable are you to be uncomfortable? How able are you to feel uncomfortable emotions in your body, like fear or shame or anxiety? Because if you can't feel that, then you're not going to do the things that you need to do.
Oh, love it so much. So many times in so many different stages within my business, I've had to re-look at my mindset because it was my mindset and those beliefs that were actually holding me back from performing, from taking my business to the next level. And often when I'm working with business owners who have, online businesses, and I'm working with these, and every business is an online business now because of online marketing. And when you're working with them, I go, well, how come I have all these clients? They're all got access to me and all the great results, and they all say that they're self-motivated, but how come these guys are doing stuff and it's working, and these guys are doing it and it doesn't matter what happens, they're always in this loop of crap. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, it's just spinning and it just goes from one bad thing to the next. And I was like, I need to work out what this thing is, because if I find out what that thing is, then I'll know that I can support them with those things. And this is why I love what Jess does, because she handles and copes with all of this. So one of the biggest things that I get all the time with people that do online business marketing is they go, I hate being online. I just had a guest on earlier now, and he was like, I don't go online. I don't do anything. I have people for that. And I'm like, that's fine. You've got to be happy with the fact that it's going to cost you more money, right? But if you want to have an online business, you have to get comfortable and happy with the idea of being online, right? You have to shift your mindset, because if you don't, you literally are going to self-sabotage yourself in every area. So how would you see that playing out for, say, a business owner that has to be online if they're constantly saying things like, I hate being online?
Well, this can filter into any aspect as well. But what we're talking about before is, why is it that you hate being online? So rather than just saying, I have an aversion to it, actually recognizing what it is that you have an aversion to. And one of the things that you would have heard me say many times and that I teach is, anything that you're avoiding doing is because of an emotion that you're avoiding feeling. And this concept to me is literally gold. You could save yourself tens of thousands of dollars on therapy, coaching, personal development, anybody that you're trying to pay to help you identify what block you have to doing something that you want to do, or doing something that's actually going to benefit your business. This question, if you actually contemplated it and evaluated what the emotion is that you don't want to feel, you now have the reason for your block. You now have the reason why you procrastinate. You now have the reason why you're putting off doing those things, having those conversations, anything. Literally any task, any choice, any conversation that you're avoiding doing is because you think it will stimulate an emotion and you don't want to feel that emotion. So when it comes to people saying, I hate being online, okay, what do you actually hate? What do you think being online will stimulate for you? I know for me personally, this is something that I've had to deal with. I don't mind being on stage in front of 1,000 people, but if I have to put a camera in my face and try and just pop on to add some value, and film myself, I immediately shut down. I'm like, oh, this is so awkward. This is so uncomfortable. And I was like, okay, for me, what's the emotion that I'm avoiding feeling? I don't like to, one, be disliked. So I kept saying for so long, I'm ready for greater impact. I want to make greater impact. I want to do bigger things and have greater influence in the world. But what that actually meant, the goal that I had, meant that I had to increase my emotional capacity to be hated. Increase my emotional capacity to be misunderstood. I was like, oh, I want to have greater impact, and I actually have a fear of exposure.
Yeah.
Because more exposure, while it equals greater impact, it also equals greater people judging me, misunderstanding me, misinterpreting me, hate, dislike. And that was not an emotion that I'm very used to handling. And so that actually took me, rather than just continuously trying to do the action, just like force myself to do the video or procrastinate doing the online videos, I had to sit with building my tolerance in feeling that, in feeling disliked, and to sit in it, you actually have to experience it. And that brought a lot of experiences into my life that were quite painful, where I was misunderstood and I was judged and I did lose some connections. And I thought, oh my God, what's all this shit happening for? And I realized it's happening because you're asking for greater impact. And so now your ability to be responsible for greater impact is being tested and is being challenged. And it's like saying, I want greater leg muscles, but I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm not going to do squats. I'm not going to lift weights. And we know in that context, people would be like, well, you're crazy. Sorry, you can't have strong leg muscles if you're not willing to go through the pain of working them out. And that's what we do when we say, I want this business goal or I want these financial goals. Every goal that you have is going to have an emotion attached to it. And if you can't feel those emotions, you can't hold the goal. You can't have it and you can't hold it. If you achieve it, you'll sabotage it.
So many good things over there, because I've been in pain for so many years feeling my emotions. And I completely resonate with so much of you saying, because a lot of people go, I hate being online, and really it's just a lack of skills.
Yeah.
Or I hate being online and they're scared of people actually seeing them. I'm just trying to think of some other examples. For me, when I had to delve into why I didn't like being on video, I would stand up on a stage, I'd present, I had no issue with it. But as soon as it was being recorded and there was a camera there, and when I sat with myself and went back to it, it was because when I was young, I was swimming in a swimming pool with all my cousins and there were cameras everywhere and everyone was taking photos. And then they said, look how fat Chantal looks in the photo.
It's a horrible.
And I still remember that. I remember that. But I had to go back to that uncomfortable place and look at it. And then I had to also say to myself, they didn't mean it. They didn't feel like it hurt at the time. But at the end of the day, if I really want to make an impact, if I want to have influence, if I want to be significant, I'm going to have to get over that. I'm going to have to be uncomfortable with that. I'm going to have to get used to being uncomfortable with that. Like you said, your emotional capacity to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And get to the next level.
And I think that's what people, I know especially people that come to me, they try so hard to be like, I want to do this thing. So essentially work with me to help the insecurities or the fears that I have around doing that thing not happen. And I was like, no. Unfortunately, the way that it works is, genuinely works, is you actually have to be okay with worst case scenario happening. That's the key. Your fear, your insecurity, the worst case of doing the thing that you need to do, online videos, let's say, you have to be okay with that actually happening. It may never happen, but you have to be okay that it could and that it will. Otherwise, you're never going to get yourself to do it. And this is, so many people talk about, I need more confidence to do it, to show up online or to, whatever they're avoiding. It's like, I need more confidence so then I can do it. And so again, they'll come to me to help increase their confidence first. Again, it doesn't work. Confidence is not a characteristic trait. Confidence is an emotion. Confidence is something that you feel when you are competent at something. So when you know that you're good at something, and that only comes through practice, that's when you feel the emotion of confidence. So to say I need to be confident first before I do it is never going to work. You have to do it. You have to then get good at it, and then you have to start feeling the emotion of confidence. And so that's why I say the only way through that is getting okay with being embarrassed or people judging you or being like, well, why are they posting videos? They look like a wanker.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, I wouldn't mind if strangers maybe saw me online.
Yeah.
But I know the sticking point for me with doing online videos is, I've got so many friends and family on there.
Yep.
What are they going to think about me posting these videos? Because they'll be like, oh, who does Jess think she is to be talking about this? That's the thing that gets me, not random strangers or random trolls. But the only way that I get myself to do it is to think of somebody and think, yeah, they could judge me. They could think I'm an idiot. They could think, that I'm full of myself. And can I handle that? If that was to happen, can I actually handle that? Could I emotionally regulate that? Could I emotionally process that and it doesn't cripple me? And when I get to the place of yes, I do the thing.
Awesome. I love that. So it's almost like, what is the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
So it's about looking, it's kind of like risk aversion. It's like looking at, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do this thing. Okay, these people are going to see me, but what's the worst thing that could happen? Mm-hmm. What's the absolute worst thing that can happen? And it's like, but these people are going to see me, and what's the worst that could happen? What's also the best that could happen? Well, I could change somebody's lives, and that's the other thing, looking at the best thing that could happen as well. And I think, like you said, you have to practice. You've got to build up your competence in things, and upskilling is so important, because if you
go and you show up every single day on social media, if you go and you do reels, you're going to get better. You're going to also start to see that it's not as bad as you're saying. You're not going to go out and suddenly you're going to get like trolled and it's, you're going to get trolled and get all these haters and whatever. Like in my lifetime, it's only happened maybe 3 or 4 times. I've had some major stuff happen and I'm online all the time doing ridiculous confrontational things. So it's not that it happens all the time, but also how am I going to handle those situations? So this could possibly happen. How can I handle that situation?
Absolutely.
I know how to block. I know how to, report. I know how to untag somebody. I have strategies in place to be able to also support me with that, which then helps me. So that competence is helping me then with my confidence.
Absolutely. And being competent through skill set is one thing, where you just keep doing it, you get better at it, you get more skilled at it, and also getting competent at feeling shit. That's the part that we continuously avoid. We don't want to feel bad. We don't want to feel negative emotion. We just kind of want to feel like joy or success or happiness or all the good emotions, and we try to avoid all of the pain. And the better that somebody is at feeling discomfort, feeling pain, and actually just being able to hold that in their body and let it move through, that person is somebody that's significantly less risk averse, that procrastinates less, that does more. They don't sit in avoiding pain. And one thing that I say to clients is pacifying pain. Trying to pacify pain will rob you of any true desire you have. That's a truth. The more you try to pacify pain and not feel it and avoid it, you are robbing yourself of any true desire you have, because those desires will require some difficult emotions to be felt. And if you don't want to feel them, you're not going to do the thing. You're going to avoid it. And I truly, genuinely believe that people, any attempt to avoid disappointment, let's say that's an emotion a lot of people don't want to feel, don't like to feel. Let's say that you are posting all of these videos online and you're sharing these videos and you don't get any comments or you don't get any likes, or it kind of falls flat, and it's like you put all of this effort into it and then it feels really disappointing and you feel let down. And when we move through life trying to avoid disappointment, you will end up creating for yourself a disappointing life. That's the result of that. You don't get to the end of your life and think, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I didn't try for that thing I really wanted, because imagine if I got disappointed. I'm so grateful that I didn't go for that person that I really wanted to be with, that I really loved, because imagine if I got disappointed if they rejected me. So grateful I didn't start that business or show up online, because imagine if somebody thought badly of me or, I got embarrassed. You're never going to think that at the end of your life. You're going to look back and realize you've lived a disappointing life just so you didn't have to feel potential disappointment. You see how we sabotage ourselves.
Oh, 100%. And what I see in the space is so many people then not wanting to invest in themselves, but rather outsource stuff all the time. So they'll go, I'm just going to outsource that. I don't want to learn how to have an online business. I don't want to learn how to be a business owner. I don't want to learn how to manage my own marketing or just talk about my own avatar, my ideal clients. I'm just going to give that to someone else and push it away. And then they kind of turn their head and they don't really want to even pay attention to what they're doing, and they just want results. And then they wonder why there's this massive disconnect and it just doesn't work. And they constantly go through the cycle and they never get the result.
Yeah. And it's something that you said earlier too, which is, this is something I've always been fascinated with, around how you can ask a successful person, what are the things that you do to have this successful business? This is what everybody asks. If you get in the room with a successful person, watch yourself asking them, what do you do? Because we're so used to, if you give me the formula, if you give me the step-by-step process and I just follow that step-by-step process, then it should work the same for me. And that's, this concept in the personal development world is just figure out what a successful person does and do it, and it will work. And then we're all disillusioned and deflated and disappointed and judge ourselves because for whatever reason it's not working for us. And again, back to mindset, I don't care what a successful person does. If I'm in a room with a successful person, I say, what do you think? What do you think about this? When you did that thing, how were you feeling? When you got yourself to do this, what were you thinking? I'm fascinated far more by their internal world, by their mindset, and by their, how they process their emotions, because that's why they have the thing that they have. Truly, it's not just doing. Otherwise, we would all rinse and repeat a model and it would work for all of us. So that's the part where we don't actually look at our internal world and be like, what emotions am I avoiding? What belief systems do I actually have that successful person doesn't? And that's why money's flowing to them when they do that and it's not flowing to me. See what I mean?
Ooh, boom. Thoughts and feelings. And some of you are going, no, I don't want to look at them.
Just give me the program. Yeah.
100% love it. So let's just talk about emotional regulation. So we're talking about business owners having to manage their own business and their teams and their marketing. You know, how do they regulate? How would they regulate their emotions, or how do they stay on top of emotional regulation? I'd say awareness is probably like the first thing.
Yeah.
But what would you say?
So the one thing that and again, this is why I'm passionate about it, because it's just emotional regulation and building emotional strength is actually the one area in the personal development world that very rarely gets any light. And it's actually the thing that holds us back. Like I said at the start, you can't feel a certain emotion, so you don't do the thing. We're all driven by our emotions. Every single person is driven by our emotions. We only act if we feel good or feel some level of comfort around it, men and women. We only act if we feel good about the action that we're taking, and vice versa. We don't act if we don't feel good about it. So we're actually driven by our emotions far more than our thoughts. And so the importance of being able to regulate your emotions, if you're a business owner, you're a leader. And leaders like bridges. If I'm a bridge and I want people to come across my bridge and follow me, and let's say I'm following somebody, I want to know that bridge has been tested, tried and tested and engineered, and okay, there was a bit of wobble there and we fixed it. And as a leader, as a business owner, you better expect that you're going to be tested and you're going to be challenged, because if you have something emotional or stressful that happens and you crumple and you fall apart, your bridge starts falling apart, and you've got people walking over that bridge, you got an issue, right? And so we actually, as leaders, I believe, as business owners, we have to have the greatest emotional strength, the greatest emotional capacity to know when the pressure comes, when the weight comes, when all of the people come and they're paying us or following us or whatever it may be, when the storms of life come, that you're not going to fall apart. And if there's a part of us that knows I probably would fall apart, then again, we actually sabotage that responsibility. And so in order to get better at regulating, the first step is awareness. Identify what you're feeling. Name what it actually is that you're feeling. So I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling pressure, I'm feeling worry, I'm feeling fear, I'm feeling self-doubt. Name what it is that you're feeling. Just identify it. Notice the sensations in your body physically. And then you want to ask yourself, what meaning am I putting to this? So if I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable or a little bit anxious right now, what meaning am I actually putting to that feeling? Right? So it could be, I'm going to fail. All right, where does that come from? Recognize where that thought pattern may come from. Maybe you saw your parents always try to do things and they failed. And so maybe you now have a belief system that trying to do things, I might fail. Or maybe you tried something in younger years and it didn't work. And it brought you lots of embarrassment, or, you got picked on or you got teased, like you were talking about at the start. There's a pain association there. So the story that you're giving to what you're feeling right now is actually probably associated to something that you felt in the past. So you want to recognize that story, and then you want to recognize, has this come from another place? And I'm just kind of filling in the blanks now, And then the last thing for emotional regulation is to actually move it through your body. This is what people don't do. They think about it, they intellectualize it, they try and process emotion in the brain, in the mind. Emotion lives in your body, not in your mind. And so to actually physically move it, you could dance, you could shake, you could shout, you could punch, whatever emotion it is, you want to actually physically move that through your body. And I always say that children, the absolute best example that we have of how to emotionally regulate before adults teach them not to. We try to teach them how to be more regulated. We're actually teaching them to suppress rather than express. We say, that's not good. You shouldn't do that here. That's bad. There's people around. We emotionally eat. Like, let's go. If you feel sad, we'll go get ice cream. We do all of these things to distract, to numb, or avoid. our emotions. Whereas kids actually show you the perfect way to do it. They feel something and they immediately physically express it. They don't sit there and rationalize or reason or think about it. They immediately physically express it and then notice how quickly it passes. There's a reason we look at kids and we think they don't hold grudges. They just punched Billy in the face because Billy stole the truck and now they're best friends again.
She's not saying to go and punch people.
Don't punch people. Maybe punch a pillow instead. But you see how they can go from one thing to another so quickly. They don't get stuck in emotions. They don't hold on to emotions. They don't hold grudges. And it's very quickly they move from one state to the other because they fully processed it without suppressing and without, putting all of these thoughts and meanings onto what they're feeling. That's how we do it. We move it first, and then you can intellectualize it. Then you can rationalize it. Then you can gain greater perspective.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, because I have this horrible thing where I just try to overthink what it is, and I overthink that it's what I'm actually doing. Then I bring it to myself, and then I used to have I'd be miserable for days, and then I just went, this is ridiculous. I'm not doing this anymore. So self-awareness, cut this off. I know what's happening. I'll allow myself a 2-minute tantrum, and I'll remove myself, and I'll set the timer, and it's only allowed to happen for 2 minutes. And I'll be like, F this, F that, whatever, and just completely go and whatever. And if it's really bad, like the other day, something was going on, the weather was miserable, kind of a bad day, and I just went, that's it, stopping my day now because I'm actually just going to be unproductive. I'm going to go for a walk. Go out into nature, go for a walk, listen to music, and just, like you said, just move it through my body. And, of course, always name and just see where that's coming from. Sometimes you're just tired. Find as you're getting older, sometimes you're just tired. And I go...
It is. Well, because people think that, if you feel or indulge the emotion, that you're going to get stuck, you're going to drown in it. And that's why I say look at children, because that never happens. So that's not actually the truth. That's just our fear. That's just our fear of our emotion and our underdeveloped emotional capacity. Because when you actually move it, rather than just trying to ignore it and subdue it and keep working, actually having the wisdom, you said, to be like, I'm not going to be as productive here, or the work that I'm going to produce from a deregulated state is actually not going to be my best. So have the wisdom to pause. Go do something, move, regulate yourself first. You'll be more productive when you come back to it rather than resisting feeling it. And this is something that I remind people of, that a universal law is whatever you resist will persist. It doesn't just go away. If you resist it, if you push against something, it pushes back. Everything you push against pushes back. So if you're resisting feeling an emotion because of whatever judgments you have around emotions, whatever fears you have around emotions, whatever belief systems that you have that emotions are useless or weak or silly or ineffective, whatever your resistance is, it means you're now going to be shackled to that emotion. You're just going to need to have more avoidance and escapism techniques, which are all of our negative habits or substance abuse or addictions. The source of all of it is our inability to feel an emotion. So we have all of these negative strategies to not feel the emotion, rather than just learning, how do I feel this emotion? And I process it and I regulate it, move it through my body. Now I don't have to escape it. Now I don't have to deal with trying to unwire negative habits. So stop resisting feeling emotions. Just let it move through. Let it process it. Don't put meaning to it. Don't judge it. It'll pass. You'll be back to a regulated baseline state where you can be further productive.
I feel like people just need to make that decision. Make that decision to either stay where they are and just carry on that hamster wheel, or step off that hamster wheel and go, look, I'm going to try something different. I've so many of my clients, not so many of my clients, but many of my clients over the years that I've been doing this, they'll come and they'll go, like, I'm working from 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm online and I'm just not getting any results. And they'll work till like 9, 10 o'clock at night and they're still not getting any results, but I'm online all the time and I'm doing everything that you're saying and it's just not working, whatever. And I'm just like, whoa. Like I go, put in the thing, 9 to 5, that's it. That you get to work 9 to 5 the rest of the time. Like, I need you to take care of yourself. Put the oxygen mask on yourself. But it does start with them making a decision that that's what they want to do, that something wants to change.
Absolutely. You go from working for somebody and hating the conditions sometimes that working for somebody causes, and then you become your own worst boss. You just became worse than any boss you've probably had. If they asked you to stay there to 10 p.m. at night, you'd be like,
No.
get fucked. Sorry, my language. You'd be like, absolutely not. But we do it to ourselves because, again, we're not actually...
Fear, beliefs, you know, whatever, money mindset, so many different reasons. So anyway, this has been freaking amazing. We've given permission for everybody to responsibly go and have tantrums.
Don't punch Billy in the face without consent.
Can we get consent? It's been an absolute blast, Jess. Thank you so much. I'm sure I'm going to have you back on this podcast again. If you really like this podcast, please make sure that you have gone in, you've subscribed and you've rated us. And if there's an option for you to leave a comment, please do so. This is Chantal Gerardy from the Meaningful Marketing Podcast with the lovely Jess Cameron. Could you please tell everyone where they can connect with you?
The best way to probably find me is online, obviously on social media, or just go to my website, jesscameron.com, and then you can find my social media links from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute blast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening in. Meaningful marketing is all about you making your marketing meaningful. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please hit that subscribe button. But subscribing means that you won't miss out on future episodes all about marketing and motivation. Stay inspired, stay focused, and make your marketing meaningful.